Hi students. Okay, so today I'm going to go over a tutorial for how to draw some gemstones. But I'm not going to cover how to draw all of these gemstones. They're very time consuming. It would be a very long video. And some of them are very complex. So what I'm going to do is go over some basics on how you would set up for these gemstones, and then what you'll do is combo those together to make gemstones. So you can either make your own gemstones, which is awesome fun, or you can get better at looking at real cuts of gemstones and then replicating it in your drawing. If you want to stay to the end of the tutorial, I'll have a little clip for how I watercolor it. You can totally color it your own way, any way you see fit. Okay, take care.
Okay, kids. So the first step for drawing a gemstone is understanding that the cuts are going to radiate out from the center most of the time. So if you make a basic shape, like let's pick the rectangle, and it does not have to be a perfect rectangle, and you shouldn't get a ruler, you're just having fun. Then you're going to make lines from the corners out in all four directions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Keeping them about the same length if you can, because that way when you connect them, these two lines are parallel. This is one of the basics for a gemstone. Sorry about the light glare, but it will help you to make this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one. A lot of them, to be honest. All right, now the idea of like layering that up, right? If you wanted to add more, you would extend the line and make another row. The number of rows you add is really up to you. Some cuts do have a complex set of concentric rows in this manner. If you want the rows to be different widths, it adds a little bit of interest also. If some of them are thin, mostly along the center piece. All right, let's talk about the next one. The next one would be like an overlapping line. So let's go back to the rectangle. But this time you're going to make it kind of like this. These should all be the same length. And now when you connect around the outer edge, you have this additional cut. Think of it as like you would have made a square or a rectangle, but you cut off the corners. Now, you can leave it like this, you can layer it up, or you can add the X's. The X's would go in the larger, longer sections here, 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 and here. Okay, that's going to help you, obviously, to make this one, but then also to make something like this, where you simply make an interesting shape, give it a layer, and put the X inside of it. Now, let's talk about the shape where you leave it open. So instead of making a square, instead of making this line, I'm going to make a shorter version of this line, and I'm going to leave it up here. And instead of closing this up, I'm going to make a shorter version of this line, and I'm going to put it down here. This is the setup for this one and this one and this one. Okay, now when you close these off, once again, it's like having, oh, and this one. It's like having the corners cut off. Now give yourself that set out from each corner, keeping it the same length, if you can. You know, it's not, doesn't have to be perfect. And then connect them. Get it out of the sun. Now at this point, you can leave it like this, layer it up, give it X's, or I'm going to show you this technique where you cross over. Now this is a little complicated at first until you get the hang of it. So I'm going to imagine that this corner is number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Oh, I know you can't see it, but my cat is pawing. Pawing my leg. You gonna get under there? Yeah. She likes to sit on my work while I'm working. Let me pause this. I'll feed her and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So I was saying this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you are going to cross over. See if I can focus this a little bit better. Maybe. You're going to cross from the 1 to the 3 with a curved arc and the 2 to the 4 with a curved arc. So the 1 to the 3 and the 2 to the 4. Same up this side. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be 1 to the 3 and 2 to the 4. It is not easy to reach the back here without flipping the paper around, but you will get the idea. This goes to here and this goes to here. Okay. This is going to help you with a lot of these. This arc is how I made this one. We'll talk about this briefly. This is just a more complex version of it. This one is a little different. This one, and this one use a straight line instead of an arc. This one is a combo of both, and here is the one we just did. So this cut with the curved arc comboed with the second row can be super useful. Let's talk about this for a second because you can use it to build up for this, this, and this. Students, I do want to say though that making this example sheet probably took me 2, maybe 3 hours worth of learning and working. So this takes time. It really takes time. So let me show you how I do an oval. So in order to make an oval, I can't just draw an oval, right? It's helpful when I do this because it's all in pencil. And some of these are more correct than others, right? But it gives me the basic shape. And then I can sort of follow and pick and choose where I want it to go. All right, now I do have to flip this around, so sorry. And then up the other side. Okay, and now I have something that I can work with. Let's erase that. Oof. Now, to make this, you have to count how many different places it touches the edge, right? It is different than this, and this, in that these all have more connective points to the center cut. This is the one I'm going to go over. Notice it uses the overlapping, kind of interlocking thing that we just did when we did this one, right? But it doesn't have the double layer. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dots on the oval, and they are symmetrical. So if you put one here and one here and one here and one here, then you have 4, right? You need 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4 more down each side. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now you are going to do the same thing you did last time where they crisscross, well they just jump over the neighbor, right? And then jump with a curve. Curve, curve, curve. Skip that one. You'll be able to tell if you miss one. It'll look a little empty in one part. You'll see it. Okay. Let's do the round stone from the side. Okay? I'm going to show you this, and then I'll show you how to make it a little bit more complex, and then I'll show you how to make it on the curved angle, or the angle facing down a little bit. So both instances, you're going to start with a V. And you want the V to be pretty symmetrical if you can. Now for the one from the side, the interior V is going to come up to the same height as the exterior V, so that you can draw a line straight across them. For the line on top, you want it to go from about the halfway point here to about the halfway point here. So here to here. And then find the halfway point here and mark it a little bit right there so you can see it. And you're going to make a zigzag across here. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, now to do this from the side, kind of angled it towards you, this interior V would be a little bit lower. So you want to bring it down here so that it doesn't come up to the same height. That way, when you connect these lines, you have that changing angle. Lines going in from the intersection. Connect those. And then you're going to make this line over here up above this so that when you bring these in, these connect down. It should be a little wider, but you get the idea. Okay, let's go back and make this one a little bit more complex. The first thing you'll do if you really want to have it be a little more authentic is you'd give it that side edge. It's just a parallel line right there. And when you color that, it's a great place to leave it white. A lot of bright light comes from these gems. When you color them, you don't want them all colored. And then you're going to do an opposite zigzag across here. So you're going to find your halfway points at each of these spots and then zigzag across them. Now, from this area right underneath that double line, you're going to bring an upside down V down to touch those lines. And of course you can leave it like this, or to take it to here, you'll add these lines down and you'll add these lines through. I'll show you where they go. So first of all, you would bring lines down from each of these, And then in this part right here, you bring a line down, 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 and then because it's peeking out over here, you can also do it there. Okay, I hope that this is helpful. Like I said, I'm not going to cover all of these. The video would be forever and ever and ever. But I will upload this with the materials so that you can see it if you want to reference it. And of course, there's a bunch of beautiful cut gems examples online. And then if you want to sit tight, I'll have a little clip of how I watercolor it. Okay, kiddos, take care. Alright, students, so I'm set up for my watercolors. I've got my water, my brush, my tissue for blotting up excess water or removing pigment if I want to make it lighter, and my watercolor palette. I am going to be using the wet on wet technique for a lot of this. I'm going to turn this into an emerald, this into a diamond, and this into an amethyst. Might make that a ruby now that I'm thinking about it, but I'll make a game time decision. So what the wet on wet technique allows for me to do, let's take this with my amethyst, is I wet an area of the paper, and the pigment that I add to that area will stay on the part of the paper that is wet. That's unless I tilt my paper and make the water run to another place. So when I wet this center part and I drop a little bit of purple into it, it bleeds out into the directions of the moisture. It won't go past that into the dry area, which is how I can control it. Now, most gemstones reflect more than one color, so my amethyst might have parts of blue in it, and I can drop those in as well. So I'm going to put this into the fast forward and let you watch a little bit. I'll be cleaning my brush, I'll be tapping it off, I'll be adding pigment, and I'll be blotting pigment away if I don't like it. Okay kids, I think I'm going to stop here. I know that it hasn't looked like much, but it's been about 2 hours of painting for me. And I wanted to mention that when I switched over to painting, I switched to a sketchbook paper. I was not painting on computer paper. It would be too thin and fragile. Even still, I don't pull at the paint while I'm painting, and I don't wipe the paint while I'm trying to blot it. I go straight down, straight up, so that I'm not pulling a rip or a tear into the paper while it's wet. Once it's dry, it'll go right back to being strong. I hope that this has been helpful for you. Of course, you can color your gemstones any way you see fit. This was just an example, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.